All right, got V2 on a bike, ready to see if it'll fire up. From what I've learned working on these things so far, and from what I've been reading as of lately, turns out these things are actually designed for like a 32 millimeter stroke. So that definitely causes some issues. I've learned a lot, you know, trying to make it work and working around the issues. But yeah, I think I'm probably done with this cylinder after this experiment here. Move on to something that makes more sense. But like I said, this was all just to see if it would work. It wasn't to see how good or for how long, just if it would. And the first one did. We're going to see if this one does. I think because I did my porting going off of a different spacer, I think that I'm going to have some issues on that, and this thing may end up grenading itself because of the way I did those transfers. But we're at the point of being able to see if it'll fire up. That carb's been sitting for a long time, and I can't remember if this is a good CDI or not. Doesn't have an exhaust on it. I'm not going to worry about that either. We're just going to see what it'll do. I'm ready to see if this thing will fire. My guess, like I said, is that it probably will grenade itself pretty quick, regardless whether or not it fires or not. But we're going to see. If this rain will let off, we'll throw some gas in it and see if we can't get it going. Been a long time coming though. Turned out pretty nice, I think. I put a lot more effort into it this time around than I did with the first version. See if I can hold this camera still. Yeah, I definitely didn't put this much effort into the first one, but definitely learned a lot trying to get this thing together to the point to where we can actually even see if it'll run. So it's been cool. But like I said, I think after this, I'm probably done with these cylinders. I've had my fun with them. It's just got a cheap plug in it. I don't know if I got a good enough seal. These are all just spare junk that I linked the carburetor together with. So I don't know how good that seal's going to be, how good that CDI is. We'll see if we can even get it to start. All right, so I put enough fuel into it to at least try to start it. This will be the first bit of fuel going into this carb here in a while. All right, so it's got fuel in it. We'll see if we can pull this off. Again, I didn't build this bike really to be riding, so I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. You know, I really just put it together to try to start this motor. This front mount isn't exactly like I would like it to be. The chain on the pedal side slips. It really needs a tensioner on it. Oh, we're flooding out. I think we might be out of gas now. All right, well, it looks like we might be taking this carburetor apart. Yeah, it was, I remember now, it was doing that. I guess it's more than just getting stuck. All right, well, I guess it's time to grab a screwdriver. I'm gonna attempt to do this like this. already messing up. I think that's gonna do it. Ugh. Next time maybe I'll get a screw that's a little bit softer. And we're out of gas. No. Nope, we got fuel. And we're still pouring out of this thing. God, dog. All right, well, serious problems with the carburetor. That was such a pain to get on there. I was thinking I could just swap the other one. So here's what's happening. We're attempting to take the carburetor off of the YD100 here in order to try and fire up V2. My concern about all of this is getting this one off. Getting this one off to put this one on it is going to be tough. That's a super tight fit. That was just a random piece of pipe I was able to make work, but it was very tight. So that is not going to work. This thing is on here so tight, it is just spinning inside this rubber hose. I'm going to end up destroying that piece getting it out of this carb. That was definitely a concern of mine. So then the next thing to do would be to fix this carb. Not surprised I'm running into problems trying to start this thing, but also not quite sure how I'm going to resolve it. I'm running out of daylight, got to be at work here in a few hours, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I ended up tapping on this with a bigger screwdriver and bouncing the bike up and down, and this one that was on here stopped leaking. Now that I've tried taking it off and it was spinning inside of this fitting, now I'm even more concerned about this fitting having an airtight seal. But it did stop leaking. I didn't see me getting that one off of there, so we're not going to put this one on. But the fuel is on. The fuel is running to it. Got to make sure I'm still on this rock. I'm moving the bike around, and I'm pulled it off its rock. Struggles of a YouTuber, paying attention to what you're doing. All right, so anyways, yeah, we got fuel. It's getting to it. It's not overflowing. We're gonna go ahead and let it ride. We're gonna see what this thing does. Give me a minute, and we're gonna try to fire this thing up. Real quick, before I throw my helmet on, just put a splash more gas in this. I just want to acknowledge the point that I should be taking this apart, the reed valve at least, to see how much fuel actually poured down into that reed valve when it was overflowing like it was, but I'm not gonna. I'm too lazy and I'm running out of time, and I'm just not gonna. I should, but I'm not gonna. So we'll see what happens with that. The carburetor is no longer overflowing. I put more fuel in it, like I said. The valve is still on, and it's no longer overflowing. So we're gonna go ahead and try to fire it. But I just want to acknowledge that because there probably is some fuel that poured down in there, and that's gonna affect what happens next. So let's see. All right, let the fun begin. See what this thing is gonna do. The chain's not popping off. I feel good about that. See if I can get this thing rolling enough with this pedal side chain being loose like it is. All right, so I didn't tighten the carburetor back down. I lost that nut, but I think it's, like I said, it's tight enough. I just lost that nut. It's tight enough that I don't think it's gonna come off. We're gonna see if we can get this thing to fire back up. It actually ran, y'all. That was running. You definitely can't pedal it. That chain is jumping every other pedal. I lost my bolt. My pedal chain just came off. Unbelievable. I didn't think that was going to turn into a ride video. That's amazing. I don't want to get on it because of the way everything is, you know. That was amazing. Man, I wanted to say something now. I don't remember what it was. So, oh, I need to turn the idle screw up some. I think it'll sit there and idle if I turn the idle screw up some. But yeah, this thing, I'm going to need to run over it, make sure there's no bolts loosening out or anything. But how about that? It actually runs. I'm going to kind of look over everything real quick and tighten that idle screw back up, and then I'm gonna fire it back up. Come on, carburetor. Well, it's definitely stalling out, and this carburetor is definitely having some issues. But man, I'm surprised that thing is lasting a lot longer than I thought it would. I thought it would pow. So anyways, here we are. All right, so I felt that when I was adjusting the idle screw, my clutches come loose, and even when you engage it, it's still got tension on it, so I need to adjust this clutch. That's probably why it's idling, why it's dying on the idle, because it's got drag on it. But anyways, I'm probably gonna wrap this up. I need to get my stuff put away and everything. But yeah, so first start up and ride video. How cool is that? It actually runs. It's not too loud with the no exhaust, and then you know, I don't have any confidence in much on this bike at the moment, so I'm not trying to give it too much, but man, it wants to go. It really does. It wants to go. I think get this idle clutch thing figured out, and you know, just inspect everything. But yeah, I'm impressed. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna drain the last little bit of fuel out of this thing and wipe it down, try to get the gas smell off of it and take it back in. But yeah, so here we go, V2 of the 43 millimeter Chinese chainsaw cylinder. Left this spacer big for cooling. It's definitely hot. This thing barely has any fins on it. It's so tiny. So I wanted to do that. And I do have the one that I chopped. I chopped the top off of, and I've got those bigger heads. Now, I know I said earlier that I'm probably done with this cylinder, but honestly, I'm impressed with that, and that was fun. So I'll probably end up doing something with that chop top after all. I got to get some carburetor things figured out. I've been knowing that I need to get a better carb. I just haven't decided on what I want to get. Probably going to do that 19 millimeter PWK, but I don't want to go crazy big, you know, right now. But something that'd work on a you know, higher performance engine, but work on a good stock motor as well. You know, something kind of in between. But yeah, man, this thing worked a lot better than I thought it would. Had a lot of time in on this build with shortening bolts, you know, grinding bolts down and cutting bolts down to be the exact size and cutting keyways and stuff like that. But overall, the whole project turned out a lot better than I really anticipated it doing for being so rushed. You know, working on it here and there, and then at the final hoorah here, putting it together to run, I did kind of rush through everything. So I'm really happy, really impressed with the project. I was in my mind, I was thinking I would fire this thing up, here it go, brap, boom, put it in a box and move on. But clearly it wants to keep running for a little while. So we'll see. I know that I got some funk coming out of here where there was no exhaust. I mean, just straight funk, dirty up in there. This pipe that I used, dirty, nasty, dirty. But anyways, yeah, I mean, shoot, did a lot better than I thought it would. So we'll see where it goes from here. No brap boom box. It's a brap vroom vroom. See what we're gonna do. End up putting an exhaust on it or something. But thanks for coming around, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, ride safe.